N8N automations just got a massive upgrade. OpenAI has released GPT-5 and it changes everything. This model is a huge leap forward and it's especially sharper at reasoning. It follows complex instructions effortlessly and it nails the tool usage, which we know wasn't that great earlier. And coming to results and outputs, it delivers clean, structured outputs, exactly what we need to build rock-solid automations. If you're wondering how you can start using GPT-5 inside N8N right now, then you're at the right place. In this video, I'll walk you through GPT-5's most powerful features, its surprisingly accessible pricing, and we'll also jump into N8N for building real-world automation demos using GPT-5 so you can see exactly what it can do. On that note, let's get started. So let's start by understanding what makes GPT-5 so special. GPT-5 builds on top of GPT-4's strengths, which means this model is much better when it comes to higher reasoning accuracy. So what this means is that if you have an automation workflow which handles multi-step logic, or if your automation has a lot of complex branching workflows and specific edge cases that requires a lot of computation or requires a lot of higher level reasoning, then GPT-5 can handle that really well. And the second upgrade is important as GPT-5 has a much longer context window. That means the model can remember a lot more context compared to its predecessors, and this means that it's ideal for automation scripts, building AI agents that must process large data sets. If it needs to process and maintain context for entire code bases or extensive customer history databases without forgetting the entire thing mid-flow, then GPT-5 excels at that. If you're wondering how big the context window is for GPT-5, for free users, it can remember up to 256,000 tokens worth of information. So this means the model can remember substantial back and forth conversations or process long documents. So this is when you access GPT-5 through the ChatGPT website or the chat interface. But if you're accessing GPT-5 via the APIs, this limit increases to 270k tokens, and that would make it to a total of 400k tokens. So that means the overall context window is 400k tokens wide. It can remember a lot of information. That makes sure your automations built on top of GPT-5 performs consistently and reliably over the long run. And the next thing I would like to mention is that it is much better when it comes to tool integrations. So if your automation workflow is calling a lot of different tools, and if it needs to think independently and make a decision for itself as to which tool to call, which tool to not call, and it makes all of these decisions without any errors whatsoever. So if you have a workflow that is connected to a lot of different tools, you can just plug in GPT-5 into that workflow and test and see for yourself how good the tool calling actually is in GPT-5. And coming to the outputs are way more consistent compared to GPT-4. That means it's deterministic when needed, and the cost of execution is much more less compared to earlier LLM models, because you don't have to run or rerun the workflow multiple times to get an accurate output out of it, right? So in lesser number of runs, you get the same quality of outputs, which gives this model an extra edge over the old models. Before we compare the pricing and the costs for the APIs, know that GPT-5 comes in 3 different variants. So we have the standard variant, we have the nano, and we also have the mini. So out of these 3 variants, the standard would be the costlier variant, and if you have to compare the outputs alone, standard variant gives you much better outputs, and we'll be using the standard variant in the example that I'm going to show you later. So the pricing is where this gets really interesting. So when you compare to GPT-4, which was the model that I was using previously, costs around $2.50 per million input tokens and $10 for million output tokens. So moving on to GPT-5, the cost is exactly half of what it used to cost for GPT-4. The cost for 1 million input tokens in GPT-5 would be $1.25. And if you are okay with compromising a little bit on quality and to save a lot on costs, you can opt for GPT-5 mini or nano. In the case of mini, it's 25 cents for 1 million input tokens and just $2 for the output token. And if you are having a much simpler use case but needs the consistency and reliability of the GPT-5 model, then you can opt for the nano. And in case of nano, it's just 5 cents per 1 million input tokens and just 40 cents for the 1 million output tokens. And that's what excites automation developers towards GPT-5, because for almost half the price that you pay for input tokens, you get a system that is much more reliable in terms of results, a system that excels in terms of tool calling, and a system that requires less prompting, and a model that lets you give your automation systems a lot of context. And as you can see, these are the most important selling points when it comes to GPT-5. A lot of old automation systems will be migrating to GPT-5 for all of these results. So now that we have an understanding of the new model, its features, its benefits, its costing, next we will move on to N8N. We'll build something real quick to see GPT-5 in action. So one more thing before we begin, you'll have to make sure that you have updated your N8N. So if you're using a cloud hosted version, that's not really a problem for you guys because it's already updated at your end. But if you're using a self-hosted version, like I am using right now, you'll have to manually update your N8N. So I have hosted my N8N using a Docker image, and I'll show you how you can update your Docker image to the latest N8N version. So what you have to do is open Docker desktop. You'll have to come to images. So you'll have to choose the N8N image that you have tied to the Docker container. Then you click on show image actions, click on pull, and you can see that it's pulling the image, and we have successfully updated the N8N image inside Docker, and we are good to go. Now that we are in N8N, we'll add our first node here. Let's add a chat trigger node. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on plus. So from this list, I'll choose a chat trigger node. I'll click on chat trigger. Now that we have the chat trigger node added, I will link it to an AI agent. So I'll click on this plus icon, and I'll click on AI and select AI agent. And as you can see, the AI agent is added here on the canvas. So next we'll add the LLM model. So in order to do that, just click on the plus button. So from the list of language models that is popped up here, I'll search for OpenAI, and we can see the OpenAI chat model here. Click on that. And as you can see, the OpenAI chat node is added here. So you double click on that. So once you do that, the properties window for the OpenAI chat node will pop up here. As you can see, I've renamed this to GPT-5. And for the next step, what you'll have to do is to create OpenAI API credentials. So if you haven't done this already, it's very easy. All you have to do is click on this drop down, and you have to click on create a new credential. And this is where you create your credentials. So as you can see, you'll be prompted to enter an API key. The base URL will be already set, and all you have to do is to go to OpenAI's API website. You have to create an API key there, and once you create it, you copy it and you paste it here, and you're done. So we'll be doing exactly that. Now I'm at the OpenAI's API website, and this is the URL. It's platform.openai.com, and from there you can go to settings. You can find the settings button here. Click on that. And if you come to the extreme left, you can see API keys here. Click on that. So you'll be directed to this page where you can store and manage all of your API keys. As you can see, I have already created a couple of keys here. So we'll create a new key now. So you can come over to here. You'll have a button to create a new secret key. Click on that. And this is where you enter your details. So let's create it as N8N test demo. You can also create projects here if you'd like. I've already created a project for N8N here. Once that is done, you click on create secret key. Then you'd get this pop-up where you can view your key, and make sure that you store this somewhere safe, and you should not lose this key because this is what helps us establish a connection with the APIs. So for now, let's copy the API key from here. Click on copy, then you click on done. So now that we are back in N8N, let's open the properties node for the LLM node, and we click on the drop down. We select create a new credential, and we paste the API key that we copied from the OpenAI website here in this box. Paste it, and once that is done, you click on save. And you can see that the credentials are successfully created, and you can also see that the connection is tested successfully, and we are good to go. Now that is done, and you can see the newly created credential here, N8N test demo. So you click on that, and you can see that we are connected to the credentials. So for the next step, you'll have to choose the GPT-5 model from here. Click on this drop down, and you search here for GPT-5, and you can see that the GPT-5 models are appearing in the drop down. As I've explained, we have the GPT-5, GPT mini and GPT nano versions. So let's go with GPT-5 for now. Click on that. So once that is selected, let's return back to the canvas. And now that we are back at the canvas, let's test out GPT-5. So in order to do that, let's click on open chat. Now, as you can see, the chat window is open here. Let's test it out real quick. You can just type in a random message and it should respond appropriately. And let me try this. Ground control to Major Tom. Are you there? So when you press enter, you can see that the AI agent is calling GPT-5. Let's see if we can get a response here. So as we can see, we got a really witty response here, and the connection is working here, as you can see. So we have successfully established a connection with GPT-5 via N8N. So as a next step, let's create a fully functional AI agent. Let's try GPT-5's tool calling capabilities and see how good the responses are for an actual task. And for that, we'll be creating a LinkedIn content generator. So I'll explain what it does in a second. So we'll be building a LinkedIn content generator. So this is how it works. We would have a AI agent here. So for the AI agent, the input comes from a Google Sheets node. So these Google Sheets would have a list of topics for the week, and the user will be prompted via the chat interface to select one topic for the week. Once the user selects a topic, so let's say the user chooses topic number 2, so the Google Sheet sends in that information to the AI agent. Then our AI agent calls Perplexity. So Perplexity, as you might know, is a search API, and it excels with detailed in-depth research. So the Perplexity node would do research based on the topic that we selected, and it would come up with all the latest information, the news and up-to-date data that is related to the topic of our choice. And once that is done, all the information collected is passed back into the AI agent, and the AI agent would call GPT-5. So we have GPT-5 here. So I forgot to mention earlier that here Perplexity is a tool that we'll be using, and the tool calling will be done via GPT-5. So we'll receive the topic from the Google Sheet, and it will search in the system prompt inside the AI agent regarding what to do with the topic, and it knows that okay, so I should be writing a LinkedIn post about the topic. So first of all, I should start with research. So let me ask GPT-5 which tool to call. GPT-5 calls Perplexity, then Perplexity does the research, and it sends back the research data to the AI agent, and the AI agent takes that research data and it again gives it back to GPT-5 and asks it to write a LinkedIn post based on the formatting rules that we'll be setting inside the AI agent. And once that is done, the final LinkedIn post would be outputted back into the chat, and we can see the final output inside the chat. So this is a basic wireframe of the system that we are trying to build. It's always best if you wireframe your system before you build it, because it saves a lot of time. If you have a better idea while you're wireframing it, you can always tweak it to follow the best and optimal approach, rather than jumping straight into building the workflow inside an N8N. Then halfway through it, you realize that okay, I have this other workflow that I can build which is much more efficient than this one. Then you'll have to take apart the whole system and rebuild it again, which takes a lot of time and effort. And when you wireframe it prior to building it, it makes your life a lot easier, right? So now that we have the basic wireframe, we'll move on to N8N and try to build the system. So we are now back inside N8N. We will add the Google Sheets tool here. So I'll click on the plus button next to tool, and in the tools menu, I will search for Google Sheets and select Google Sheets. So now I am at the properties window for the Google Sheets. So let's connect our Google credentials. So I have created a video explaining how you can connect your Google Sheets account via GCP. If you want to check it out, it's in the description. So that video starts everything from the basics. So I will be explaining how you can set up a project inside GCP, how you can enable the Google Drive and Google Sheets API inside it, how you can create an auth credential inside GCP and connect the auth client, which is N8N, with GCP, and that would enable Google Sheets access inside N8N. And if you want to check it out, it's in the description. It's very easy. It starts from the basic. You can just check that out and come back here. So for now, I have already created a credential which connects to my Google Drive and my Google Sheets. I'll select my credentials here. So once that is done, I'll make sure that I'll select my operation as get rows, because I want to fetch the content ideas from the Google Sheet. I will select on get rows, and I've already created the test data Google Sheet with some content ideas in it, and I have stored it in my Google Drive, and I've named the Google Sheet as weekly content ideas. So since my credentials are connected to my Google Drive, I can see the Google Sheets here. If I click on this drop down, I can see that the weekly content ideas sheet is displayed here. That confirms that N8N has access to my Google Drive. I select this Google Sheet, and inside the document I have to specify which sheet I'm working with. So that would be sheet 1. So I click on that. And if your Google Sheet has multiple columns or rows and you need to filter data using a specific row or column name as a filter, you can do so by adding filters here. But since my Google Sheet is only having one column, we don't have to do it here. It automatically fetches the entire data from the Google Sheet. So to test this out, we will come over here and we will click on execute step. And you can see here on the right, the output is displayed and all the content ideas from the Google Sheet is fetched. As you can see here, the row number, the content ideas and the data that is inside this column. So all of this is fetched, and this confirms that our AI agent is able to read the data from the Google Sheet. And let's go back to the canvas and we'll add a system prompt explaining our AI agent that we have connection with the Google Sheet, and we'll be giving it instructions so that the user can prompt via chat and select a topic of their choice. So now that we are back at the canvas, it's very easy to add a system prompt. Double click on the AI agent and you'll have to come down to the add options button. Click on that. You'll get a drop down with various options. You can select on system message. This is where we'll give our system prompt. Click on that and you can see that there is a basic system prompt right now. So in order to create a system prompt, it's not that hard. You can just prompt Gemini or ChatGPT to create one for you. For this specific agent, I have given Gemini instructions on what it needs to perform. I've told it that it's a LinkedIn post generator, and I have listed out what my goals are and how the system should function. With just a basic high-level overview of the system, Gemini generated a system prompt for me. So I'll be just pasting the system prompt here. I will include this prompt in the description. You can just copy this and tweak it however you want. All you have to do is to give it the right context and the right information for getting the right results. So that is all that matters. So I'll just paste my system prompt here. We can quickly go through the system prompt. So for this AI agent, I have given a very basic system prompt. So as you can see here, I've explained its role clearly, that it's a LinkedIn ghostwriter AI and its goal is to create engaging viral posts for my personal brand. As you can see here, I have explained the core workflow of how it should act. It should fetch content ideas, present choices to the user, await user selection, conduct research, draft the post, deliver for review, and I have also given it basic style and tone guidelines and certain formatting rules as well. So I have specified how the hook needs to be, and it should use short sentences, use white space to space out the information for better readability. I've asked it to use bullets and numbered lists wherever applicable, and to end with a question or CTA to boost up engagement. And I've also mentioned to follow a good storytelling style which works well with LinkedIn posts. And that's all it is. It's a very simple system prompt, and let's see how this performs when the AI is in action. For the next step, we'll have to add the Perplexity node. Let's do that next. So as you can see, we have already added one tool here, which is the Google Sheets node, which essentially works as a database. We have the Google Sheets created inside my Google Drive. I'll quickly show you the Google Sheet. So you can see the Google Sheets inside my Google Drive. I'll just open it to show you the sheet. As you can see, I have added around 4 topics, and this is just for the sake of the demo. You can go ahead and build a fully fledged system with this. You can add a lot of different things here. We can make the system to write the post back into a different column here. So this sheet would work as a content calendar with all of the posts and the post types and the ideas, the hashtags, and all relevant links and research data. All of this can be inside a single content calendar sheet. So you can end up building a comprehensive end-to-end content calendar and publishing system. So we'll be building such systems in the upcoming videos. So make sure you're subscribed to be updated about them. So for now, we'll go back to the N8N workflow. We'll attach the Perplexity node. So to add the Perplexity node, we'll select the plus icon again, and we will search for Perplexity here, and you can see that the Perplexity node is displayed here. So let's select on that. So once you're inside the Perplexity node, you will have to again go through the whole API key setup for Perplexity. So it follows the same format as we have done for OpenAI. You'll have to go to Perplexity, create an account. You'll have to go to the API key section inside settings, and you'll have to create a project. You'll have to create an API key, and once you have that API key, you'll have to copy that and paste it back into N8N. You have to select the Perplexity node, click on credentials, create a new credential, and all you have to do is to enter the API key here, and you'll have to click on save. That's all it is. And since the process is a bit repetitive, I'd encourage you to just go ahead and try it out. It's very simple. You can ask me in the comments below and I can help you if you are facing trouble with setting it up. So I've already created a credential for Perplexity here. I'll just select that, and once that is done, the next step would be selecting a model for Perplexity. So Perplexity has a lot of different models. So unless you need extremely deep research and a lot of citations and resources linked, just go with the basic Sonar model. It performs really well, so you don't have to think a lot on this. Just go with Sonar. It works every single time. Select the model as Sonar. So once you're done that, you'll have to come down here, and whatever the topic that we select from the Google Sheet, Perplexity has to get that specific content idea, and it has to understand and it has to identify that we are trying to pass this content idea to Perplexity. It would receive it as a message, and what you have to do is to go to the extreme right and click on let the model define this parameter, so that Perplexity automatically identifies the topic that we are trying to send it from the JSON response, and you don't have to worry about it. So you just click on this button and you can see that the model will automatically identify the content idea that it will receive from the Google Sheets, and you don't have to worry about hard coding or using expressions to specify what value to be fetched without you having to explicitly mention that you should be working with this field, which is the content idea field. And the best part is that all of this is done at the back end automatically. So that is all that you have to do with the Perplexity node. So we can go back to the canvas and proceed with the next step. So for the final step, we'll just add a memory here. So as I've explained earlier, memory provides your AI agent with context. What it basically does is it stores the last 10-15 executions and it remembers what it was asked. Every time you prompt it with a follow-up question, it's able to remember the context and is able to give you the most useful response. So that is how the memory helps. So it's very easy to add a memory. All you have to do is click on this plus icon next to memory and you get a list of memory nodes that you can add. So for this, you can just go with a simple memory node, click on that, and as you can see, the memory node is added here. So we'll quickly go and clean this workflow up, click on cleanup, and everything is neatly arranged and our workflow is ready to be tested. So finally, we have completed our AI agent, and now let's test our agent and see how well it functions. Let's start chatting with it. So I'll come down to the chat window, open it up. So let me ask it what posts are lined up for the week. Hi, what are the posts lined up for this week? And I'll press enter. And as you can see, the notes are in action. It will look up in the Google Sheets and it's formulating a response. And yes, we have got a successful response and it has fetched the data from the sheet and it has formulated its output. Here are this week's content ideas and it's prompting us on which one it should draft first. So let's try with post number 4 maybe. Let's try the topic productizing your services. So I respond 4 in the chat and press enter. And as you can see, the execution is going on. It should ideally call Perplexity now if things go well. Yes, it is calling the Perplexity node. We can see that the Perplexity node is searching for credible data or insights, all the latest data and insights on productized services. Now the agent asks the LLM to formulate a response. So let's see what it comes up with. Alright, finally we have the LinkedIn post ready and I must say it looks really good. It has followed almost all of the instructions given in the system prompt. The output is a way better compared to the previous GPT models. As you can see, I have mentioned it specifically not to include any M dashes. As you can see in the output, it has strictly followed my instructions. It has used a viral formatting. As you can see here, the hook is under 140 characters and it's split up in a way that it makes the reader want to click on see more and read the rest of the post. And overall, I would give this 8.5 out of 10 maybe. And with a little more prompting, I'm pretty sure I can get this exactly to write like me. I haven't attached a detailed style guide or trained it using the post that I have written on LinkedIn. So if I am able to do that, I think this would be a solid 9.5 out of 10, and that's how good this model actually is. So I hope you now have an idea of how powerful GPT-5 is. I'm also parallelly trying out the other Chinese models such as Qwen and Kimi K2. I have wipe coded a content generation framework on Cursor and it also showed me quite promising results as well. So that was a content repurposing system that I built. This is the first time I'm getting really good results, that too with text, when it comes to GPT, and GPT GPT-5 has certainly improved upon its predecessors, and I'm certainly excited to test it on different automation systems and see how great the improvement actually is. So if you have enjoyed this video, I would urge all of you to try GPT-5 out. It is very easy to get it added on N8N, and you could also get the API and play around with cursor or vibe code and application using it. I will certainly keep testing it, and I will post more tutorials on GPT-5 and the latest models that are popping up now every week or so. I'm certainly excited. I hope you are as well, and I would always encourage you to keep practicing, ask your questions in the comments, and I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.